All right. Welcome everyone to TableTalk, where we talk all things tabletop. I'm your host, the Battle Log Gamer, and I have here Glue Boy.
Hello.
And it's nice to talk to y'all this week. We didn't. Oh, it's been a busy week. Not a busy week. It's been a week for me personally. Just got my volume on my YouTube thing. I also have a new mic setup, so y'all will have to let me know if my voice fades in or out or not, because I have a new shock mount I've attached to my setup so that I can reposition my mic a little better.
Fancy.
I have a tendency to look at my other screen, and so I turn away from my mic typically.
Yeah.
So I figured this would be the better alternative.
So far, so good on my end, at the very least.
That's good. So what are you even up to?
Well, I was gonna have a busy week, and then I discovered a way to mitigate it by quite a lot. So I have a class that's just kind of poorly managed, and we are expected to, in 2 weeks, like 2.5 weeks, to write out a fully developed script that we've had no time in class time to actually develop.
Right.
It was like, all right, gang, let's talk about the movie Get Out, and we'll talk about the movie Jaws, and write a script. So it's like very sudden, and so I'm just going to take a script I wrote a while ago that I have not published and just rewrite it a bit, like fix it up, edit it, write it from the perspective of being shown rather than a shooting script where I'm not really trying to make something super fancy, and then submit that. So most of my work's already done.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, honestly. There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to, you know?
Yeah, and like I made a film with it at some point before, and it's a idea I really like as like a horror concept, but it's I think the film was really bad because I was really stressed out by other school things, and I couldn't devote all my time on the film like I wanted, which happens sometimes, sadly. It's like I wrote it. It's a situation where I wrote a script about like the horrors of this person who's being his like identity and like soul is being overwritten by a ghost that's in his body, like a horror version of Cyberpunk's plot that I wrote before I knew that was the plot of Cyberpunk.
Oh yeah.
I wrote it and then I was like playing Cyberpunk and I'm like, wait a fucking tick. This seems familiar. But yeah, so I was gonna have a busy week, and then I thought about it. It was like, wait a second. I'll work smarter, not harder.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. I think that's definitely a right way to take it. And you know, like, school's hard enough as it is.
Yeah,
Making
I got another
you write like 10-page documents out of nowhere is just silly.
It's just he's not managing the class very well, but it seems like he has a lot on his plate. But still, man, you're teaching the class is your job. Like, please teach us well.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, just been painting Warhammer minis is kind of fun. Why did I stop for so long?
I really just need space. I need space to do everything.
I mean, as long as you got yourself at least the thing of painting, though I know your problem is where the fuck do you put it?
Yeah, that's kind of that.
That is the hard part. I have one of those, those like cube panels like that you can build your own shelves for?
Right, yeah.
That's what I have next to me, but there's no place to put that in your place, dog.
No. What few Termagons I have, like, primed, and they're just crammed onto my shelf at the moment.
Termagons?
They're not Termagons.
Rubric Marines?
No, the little lizard people.
Oh, Xanagors. That's it.
Xanagors, that's what it is.
Yeah, birds. For a second, I was like, when did you get into NIDS, dog? Hell yeah.
I would totally get into NIDS.
You
honestly.
would. I think you'd. I honestly think, like, of the two armors you'd have the most fun with, like, I mean, I also, from the hip, shot Thousand Sons at you. Because I played them, and I'm like, this is Cam's playstyle.
I think Thousand Sons is really good. I think they're my style, for sure.
Oh, 100%. And then NIDS, just for, like, I could see you really having fun with the movable parts of the synapse units, because there's a lot of compounding stuff that works with that. Or if you're like, you know what, I don't want to think today, and you just slam as many termagants onto the board as possible and just Zerg rush people.
Yeah.
Going from your day of like, do I want to make a really highly adaptable, like movable list, or do I want to turn the brain up?
Yeah. Hi, Keenan, how you doing? But yeah, life's just been really hard this year. I was hoping for a good year, you know, for the first year since like COVID started. And it was kind of nice. I went to go see my mom and my sister up at my mom's future house, the vacation home that we're renting. I did not get a haircut. My hair is drying. I had to shower right before this. So it's currently, I comb my hair back because I feather it so much. But you know, I went up to like Blaine, essentially, right near the border. And that's where the house is. And my mom also has a house there that me and Suzanne might move into one day, maybe. We'll see. Right now my mom's just gonna rent it out as a short-term rental, because that's a big thing over there in Blaine. A lot of like vacation home stuff. It's a really nice place too. And me and Suzanne have the ability to go and live there if we so choose.
Hell yeah.
But it's also, you know, super far north, and it's very far from where Suzanne works. So it would be a question of whether Suzanne wanted to move or like leave her job or not. So it's a pretty big decision.
It's a very big thing to do.
But you know, it'd be a house. So free house. Not free, but like mostly for if we'd be getting that house in the end cheaper than if we actually bought a house. So
which, if you have the opportunity in this day and age, do.
It's I don't know. But I found out my dog that I left with my parents, he had some really bad seizures for a couple days, and he's gotten over them, but apparently it's just done enough brain damage where he's just no longer the same dog.
Oh. It's
rendered him blind, and he is just wandering around, and he doesn't like being touched or picked up or anything. He's just not my dog anymore. So equivalently, my dog has died as well.
Damn.
Which is he's old for a dog his size. He's like 13 or something. And little dogs don't tend to live super duper long, you know? They can. But still, it's just sad, and I wasn't expecting it, and I wasn't really warned about it until I saw him. And my mom's like, oh, don't touch him. And so that was just like a blind side out of nowhere.
Yeah, that's a bad thing to get hit with.
Yeah, that mixed in with everything that's already been happening, and it's like, oh. And yet, also, the channel's doing super well. So it's like, I think I'm just being tested, you know?
Yeah.
Feels like it for sure, because the channel's going places. The videos have been doing well for the most part. And, you know, I'm very, I think the channel is going to have some major growth this year. I think we're going to see a lot of opportunities start showing up, and we got a lot of stuff. I just wish that it was better timed. You know, I just wish that, you know, I didn't have so many extra obstacles. Like, the YouTube thing is already hard, you know? I don't need more challenges.
Yeah, that is the worst of it, in those moments where bad shit just keeps pouring. But I mean, at the hopefully, beginning of the 2023, pretty bad. Rest of it, kind of good.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean,
yeah, I imagine I have no doubts that the channel is gonna do very well this year.
Yeah, let's see. What's Social Blade put my projections at right now? Let's see. Yeah, by the end of this year, it's saying we should be at like probably over 6.5K.
Yeah, I do not doubt that for a second.
So we got some stuff. They're saying that Bad Thing is coming 3. Hopefully, Dog is the last of the bad. I hope so. Also, 3. I was born October 3rd, and I'm super unlucky, and I'm familiar with that saying. So that's just some of the origins of Bad Luck Gamer. I'm just living on brand right now. I don't want to be.
Damn.
I'm just living on brand though right now. But I do think, you know, we got a lot of good stuff coming this year. I got a lot of good videos in mind. I just finished recording last night the tier lists for the new archetypes that I'm adding to the tier list. 10 archetypes. So there's that list is continuing, and then I have a Lancer video I need to get out at some point. I also have a video on D&D 5e Paladins and how you can transfer them to Pathfinder 2e coming up, and I have some more Pathfinder bite-sized videos.
I still think once you do Monk in less than 10 minutes, shit's gonna pop off.
We'll see. I don't know, and I mean, to be fair, it was Alchemist, so I should have expected it to not do as well. I'm just surprised it didn't hit like 1,000 in 2 days, honestly. But most of my videos recently have been bangers, so I've not released a lot of videos in the last 3 weeks. Jesus. It's been a really rough month for me so far.
Yeah.
So, right when the channel is about to grow, you know, but oh well, whatever. It's all about persevering and pushing through.
Exactly. I've learned, I think my takeaway from my last upload is maybe I need to do more like theory crafting and theory based stuff.
I think it's just having a whole smattering of different video types, you know.
I think so too. I just need to incorporate some more rather than like continue just purely doing like faction and character stuff. I need to throw some more general or like the theory base of like, here's a question. Ooh, what do we got? Because it's the one that gets people like talking and chatting. Because specifically my goal was to just make a fucking missing Primarch video that was better than Major Kills. Because like, man was not very accurate. Missed a lot of very good information. And like, man, it could have been better. So I did my best to make one better. That and I thought his theory was kind of bad. He was like, here's my theory on what happened. And I'm like, that kind of disproved in some books. But
yeah.
I also won't continue saying that because my audience keeps building up some strange beef between Major Kill and I.
It's just gonna happen
about it. Yeah, no, it's extra funny because like Major Kill doesn't know who I am, and I do happen to hold a lot of opinions that I hate a lot of the things Major Kill loves. So like my audience multiple times has been joking that like if Major Kill sees this, bro, oh boy. So I find it very funny, like this strange beef that has not been connected for either of us.
Right, yeah.
And also, I mean, he wouldn't see, so.
Yeah, it's like, who are you to a channel that has like over 100k subs, you know?
Yeah, he's got like 400k subs, something.
Yeah. And Keenan, if you're Dark Ender, I mean, the point of the videos are more it's just enough info to get you into the class. there's no way you can talk about a class like Alchemist in under 10 minutes. There's too much. And I don't know how a lot of people who watch that video don't understand that it's not supposed to be a comprehensive look at a class. It's the basics. Alchemist, I did learn that and it's been a kind of a good, yeah, I kind of figured as much, that Alchemist has actually a competitive 2-hit like attack score with other classes, with other martial classes. It's just you need to use Quicksilver Mutagen is the caveat. But they hit just as well as other martials as far as like their attack score.
Is that for like if you're doing a bomber build or something? Just so they have
I
a
mean,
decent chance to hit it?
well, that's the thing, right? Also looking it over, alchemists are not trained in anything but simple, unarmed, and alchemical bombs. They're not even trained in all martial weapons.
I mean, makes sense.
So the Quicksilver Mutagen does allow them to use dex-based attacks, though. So they could, if they get the proficiency, which there's a few ways they can get the proficiency for other weapons as well. But if they get that proficiency up to for like other martial weapons, they can use finesse weapons like just as well.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah. It's because Quicksilver Mutagen gives you an extra item bonus, essentially. They can make it level 1, which gives them a +1. And then at level 3, when all other classes are at getting their +1 weapon for the first time, they get the next one, which gives them +2. So they actually have a higher item bonus through Quicksilver Mutagen. Which, to be fair, they could give Quicksilver Mutagen to their allies and making them even stronger. But the whole point is, if in a vacuum, using its own features, Alchemist has the same, essentially, attack values as every other class.
Huh.
So, it's actually a really good martial class. It actually can do the damage. And, of course, there's also tons of other bits to it as well. Yeah, I understand, Keenan. It's just, like, the whole point of the video is people want less than 10-minute videos. If I make it more than 10 minutes, that defeats the purpose. So the only thing I can mention is what's absolutely necessary.
Yeah, I mean, also it's like the thing of, because some people might be curious of, like, you know, there might be class window shopping. So a lot of those videos catch those people. And then you might have extra stuff on your channel that's like more expansive, which Camp does have. It's the like for me in particular, if I'm looking at all the classes, if I don't care about one, I'll just be like, yeah, I don't want to watch a 30-minute thing. I'll watch this quick one. And also, I do completely agree that Phoenix, you should give the Quicksilver Mutagen to a better class.
I don't know, Gunslinger ranked the same on my tier list, so...
Well, your tier list is wrong, so it's okay.
Better's stretching it a little bit.
Well, we all know that the 3 at the bottom of the official real tier list for classes is Druid, Champion, and Alchemist. Nature Magic.
The pseudo drain condition through the pseudo drain condition from Mugen is a little rough. You don't want to play Alchemist as a frontline. Well, yeah, I mean you can. It's interesting. I also mentioned in the video that you could play a tank god as an Alchemist by revivifying Mutagen and Juggernaut. You guys found that through fighting Brandmaster.
Yeah, what a fucking dude.
Unkillable.
Also, I don't know. I don't think it's happening on the stream, but at least for Discord, you're cutting out every once in a while. I'm
cutting out on Discord? Maybe it's my sensitivity on Discord because I'm like slightly further away.
That could be it. Because I know you had your sensitivity fine tuned.
I did because of how close the mic was to my face. I've adjusted it, so let me know if it cuts out anymore or not.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Alchemist is really good. I actually, you know what? I think a good part about the bite-sized series is going back through the classes and trying to synthesize down to the point, like, what do people need to know, and learning more things about it. Because honestly, Alchemist, I always thought kind of just played like 1 to 2 points beneath all the other classes as far as their attack score. They do at a couple level interval points for like a couple levels, but most of the time they're even, as long as they're boosting their decks as much as, you know, everything else. So I do think that Alchemist is really good, and I think a lot of people just, well, I think it's because Quicksilver Mutagen is super important if you want to be attacking as the Alchemist. Because people in the comments let me know, Alchemist is great as a support class. Like, yeah, of course Alchemist is great as a support character. Yeah. That's true. I don't think anyone was really contesting that. It's just when you're comparing it to, like, Cleric, right? It can't heal as much as Cleric. And its mutagens are good, but they're not as good as, like, a haste spell, for instance, or flight, you know? So they didn't feel like the best impact as far as support. The benefit of Alchemist is it doesn't matter what kind of Alchemist you are. You have access to all alchemical items that you've learned at all times. And even without being a bomb-specific Alchemist, you can still hit just as good as other classes as long as your dex, you know, is as comparable as it can be. Which, honestly, for this class is not really hard, because unless you're, like, going tank Alchemist, you know, intelligence and dex are, like, all you really need. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the healing, the Kyurgen has gotten so much better, especially after the errata.
The bit I've heard described about it is really interesting.
It's really good. They can perpetually make any elixirs with the healing tag, which is really strong. I agree mostly with that sentiment there, Lintholium. But my video was mostly is like a correction of people who see the class, see that it only gets one martial weapon as a martial class, quote unquote, essentially. And then also Dex isn't its key attribute, so they would innately hit a little worse in all categories. And, you know, I found that's just not the case. Quicksilver Mutagen pretty much fixes that. But unfortunately, Quicksilver Mutagen is not written as like a class mandatory thing, right? So people just don't know. So there, you know, that was like the big part of it. And then on top of that as well, adding other helpful tips, other things you can do. Mentioning like the splashback or the backfire mantle, which will prevent your allies from taking splash damage from your alchemical potions or bombs. And honestly, if you really look through alchemical bombs and you course it out, right, you could do dumb amounts of damage every round. Like at level 3, let's see here.
Because if I'm curious now about how much damage you could pump out with Bomber. Because like if I'm gonna play Alchemist, like Bomber's the only one. Playing the Demolitions guy sounds way more fun.
Well, and that's the cool thing. There's so many good archetypes that fit seamlessly in with Alchemist as well.
I keep seeing that. There's like Alchemist seems like it gets a lot of love with some fun flavor and like archetype stuff. I mean,
so at level 3, right? So let's just talk about level 3 damage. Yeah, I do think that they need to be updated to get additional crafting boost like Inventor does, which I think is very silly. But technically, they don't need it crafting for a lot of their feats or abilities. In fact, the whole point of like quick alchemy or advanced alchemy is that you don't need to use your crafting skill. Yeah, so at level 3, right? Acid Flask does 2d6 persistent damage. 2d6.
Damn, okay.
At level 3.
Yeah, level 3.
Blight Bomb does 2d4. Equivalently, at level 3, you're doing 2d10 damage persistent equivalently. It's actually slightly better because it's 2d6s and 2d4s smushed together. That's hitting them with 2 bombs. As an opening salvo at the beginning of a combat, it's not hard to actually nail that.
No, not really.
And then that's 2d10 plus whatever extra damage you're doing with your other bombs until they get rid of the persistent damage, and then you just reapply them.
Finally, I got rid of this acid, and then another acid bomb comes around the corner.
Ah!
No!
Also, Bottle Lightning is broken as fuck. Bottle Lightning, it does kind of like pitiful damage. Level 3, right? Does 2d6 electric base damage, not persistent, and 2 persistent damage. Or no, does no persistent damage.
Lame.
But when you hit someone with a Bottle Lightning, they just become flat-footed until the start of your next turn.
Not lame anymore.
Yeah. Making an enemy flat-footed to everyone is nuts. Your gunslinger who doesn't ever get the benefit of like feinting or flanking with anyone is gonna love you because now all enemies are flat-footed to them. And considering that they're a class that so heavily depends on crit fishing, it's the perfect bomb essentially to assist them.
Actually.
It's so good. Making an enemy just consistently flat-footed, -2 AC, and that's a circumstance penalty. If you mix that in with a demoralize, and I do think there's actually an alchemical bomb that also does the fear condition.
I mean, bombs are scary normally, so I'd imagine there would be.
I do think there's one that does a fear condition. I'd have to look through it pretty deeply, but is it Dread Ampule? Yeah, Dread Ampule on hit makes a target frightened 1 or frightened 2 on a crit hit. So hitting with those 2 bombs in a round, you don't do a ton of damage, but the enemy is flat-footed and frightened 1.
Goofy. Love that.
Which is a -3 AC. That's huge. It does depend on the style of gunslinger. I'm saying in general, ranged attacks don't benefit from feinting, typically.
At the very least, the thing for fishing for crits is very true, because that's the gunslinger way.
That is. It does make you feel good when you get it off, though. Those big old crits. Anyway, it's not what we're here to talk about today, but that's just something I learned from Alchemist, and it takes no major effort. And the best part is, even if you're a healer-style Alchemist, you still have all this damage and all this ability to mess with enemies regardless, as long as you are being diligent in adding formulas to your formula book.
Alchemist can do the I may be a healer, but instead of cocking a handgun, it's pulling out a grenade.
Exactly. It's so good. And Double Brew, when they hit level 9, is so good because when they use Quick Alchemy, they can make 2 bombs and they don't have to be the same bomb. So every round, you can Quick Alchemy and manifest 2 bombs and attack with 2 bombs, and just a really good cycle.
What you're describing is a very cool thing, but Alchemist's still bad because I don't understand how it works.
I'm just telling you, it's really easy. You just gotta do a few things.
That's hard. Difficult. I don't know how to do it. So once I open up my path builder and I go page over to Alchemist, the laborious task of picking Alchemist, then I'll read through it. It's like, oh, there's so many choices, so many words that I don't understand. Well, it's a bad class.
I see. They do gotta keep most of the like what the heck is Alchemist's fire? Like, do you throw burning alchemists?
Yeah, where is that? That's what I want. I know what that does.
What the fuck is bioluminescence?
Literally, what does that mean?
I do monosyllable words. I know gun.
Yeah.
Gun and only gun. and reload, but
oh
that's
my-
only one syllable.
You gave me a massive fucking flashback to a joke I really like in the Gotrek and Felix books that I'm reading. Because Felix's entire character is he's like a noble forced to follow this dwarf who's like making him live in squalor, and they're just hanging out with like in the sewer militia, and he says something like really dumb, like a dumb question, then pauses in his head, is like, oh no, I'm turning into them, and he's like, I must rephrase my question to not be monosyllabic, and then phrases it in a smart way. That's me though. I'm the one who pulls you back.
But Alchemist is pretty good. I'm excited to do the other bite-sized, and it's just another series, and it's a good for like window shopping, and it's good in general, and I think the channel needs more bite-sized content, more content that people can jump in, watch for a little bit, and drop out, you know. So, not that that's gonna be all that's produced on the channel, obviously. I am too much of a wordy bitch to do everything in just under 10 minutes. I talk way too much, and doing things in under 10 minutes, I just talk faster. I'm not saying less things, I'm just talking way faster. Agora Mutagenis would be hilarious because they're already monsters. But anyway, we're not here to talk about Alchemist. We're not here to talk about my videos. We're here to talk about Hasbro's stocks crashing. Not crashing, I guess, is overstating it a little bit.
I imagine it's just not doing very well.
It's it took a major hit recently. Just dropped down just dropped $1.50. It's still currently sitting at $51.2 per stock, which is phenomenal for sure. But ever since this time last year, it's been slowly going down. And then at about, January, which, we all happened in January, it's been taking an even sharper plunge recently. And, boom, my Stardew Valley crashed. Oh, I'm sorry, Dad needs coffee.
The worst day, honestly.
Yeah. No fate. I mean, you gotta redo your whole day then, probably.
Yeah, hopefully
that
you weren't
sucks.
deep in the mines or something.
But yeah, it's rough. And it's not doing super well. And with the recent, it was kind of going down beforehand, but it was kind of having an upsurge during December, which it typically does. Because, holiday shopping. But then as soon as January hit, it just went bloop right down. Probably one of the sharpest drops it's had recently. And I do think, despite D&D not being one of its highest, profit makers, I do think it's due to a lot of the OGL stuff, because a lot of people are just like, fuck that. They've also been kind of fucking with Magic as well, which, is really not good, because that's their breadwinner. But
yeah, I've heard the gist of that, all through here. We've talked about the really weird Magic stuff they've been doing, but that massively priced box that's just ridiculously overpriced.
Yeah, a ridiculously overpriced box. It's over $1,000, I think it was, and it was mostly cards that you can't use in tournament play anyway.
That was it, yeah. What an absolute goofy thing.
So, yeah, it's a little bit fucked, and we've been having a lot more D&D defectors lately. A lot of people coming over from D&D to Pathfinder, and it's slowly growing amongst popular people in the field. I know Mr. Rex has gotten the Pathfinder bug and has been demanding some more Pathfinder. I know recently Zorn the Bear has been having popular VTubers. They're kind of like mid-tier VTubers. They're not like Visojo or anything like that. But, you know, it's like Girl DM, the bunny girl, Carrot, I think.
I cannot help you here, Doug.
I'm
But like not like
VTubers
mid-tier,
either.
and then you named one, and I'm like, I don't know who the fuck that is.
Girl DM is great.
I don't doubt it.
Girl DM is really great. She's not like other VTubers typically.
Yeah. I just do not watch their content.
That's fair.
Or any VTubers content. Not my thing.
A good number, Bunny VA, that's what it was. Who's more of a, you know, a lewd tuber. She does a lot of, you know, lewd VA stuff. But she's popular in her circles. And then a few others I was not super familiar with, to be frank. But still, Girl DM is pretty connected with some of the other VTubers as well. And it's, I think, the sign that more people are going to start checking out Pathfinder in like the creator side, content side of things. There's also all the great work that there's the great work that the rules lawyer has been doing with D&D D4, and Mr. Rex just showed up on his channel actually.
Oh shit.
And Pack Tactics and a bunch of other really good ones have been showing up there as well. Yeah, Heavenly Father was another one that I was not super familiar with.
Oh, I only know Heavenly through Russian Badger stuff. I know he does his own VTuber things, but I only know him through that.
Yeah, he was there too. So, you know what? I hope Zoran the Bear can be the new Arcadum, the less creepy Arcadum.
Arcadum, but not a sex pervert.
Yeah, and be the new dawn of tabletop streamers, because it was such a good era during Arcadum's time. I'm so sad that he had to just fuck it up, because he was making tabletop really fun and really engaging for a large audience of people. I mean, for a man who was competing with Critical Role.
YouTubers and streamers being normal fucking person challenge.
Right.
Impossible.
I can't even say I'm glad I'm engaged, because that hasn't stopped anyone.
It's the thing that like gets me with YouTuber stuff, where it's like, I cannot imagine maybe, who knows, maybe this will change. I certainly don't think it will. I cannot imagine a timeline where I'm like, I have all of my followers and fan base on Twitter. I'm gonna message one of them. I don't want that. I got my own friends that I talk to.
So we're having a massive increase in people, and you know, I guess I should have just completely blown past that point. I also don't think that's gonna happen to me. I'm just not the kind of person who gets corrupted by power at all.
Yeah. I just have zero drive to like use my YouTube as a method to make friends with my audience. And
well,
also just I'm not a person who likes receiving random DMs. I'm annoyed by it. That's why in like our server I have the no DMs tag. I don't want it. You want to talk to me, you'll talk to me in a public forum. Like that's unless said otherwise.
I don't mind if someone jumps on and says, "Hey, love your content. I like what you've done," and I'll be like, "Oh, thank you." I don't mind that kind of interaction, but if you're gonna talk to me in the Discord. SVB. What's SVB? I'm not familiar with the acronym.
I don't know what that is either.
Silicon Valley Bank? Are we talking about stocks? I don't know anything about stocks in general other than Hasbro's is down.
I pretend I know what like stock prices and all that means. I don't know how investing works.
Silicon Valley Bank. Yeah, I have no idea. Not the place. Not the place for that kind of chat. I have no idea.
I mean, we
completely...
did give the impression with Hasbro stocks falling. It sounds like we're gonna go into business stuff. And
no, not really, because we all know what Hasbro is. It's a game company. We haven't gone off-brand just because we're talking about their stock falling.
I'm just saying it's possible to give a impression that we know how business and stock prices work. When I, however, am getting a degree for business, and I will have one in like 2 weeks, but I don't know how investing works because it kind of just seems like you give a guy money and then you get some back. That's all it kind of seems. Or you lose a lot and then like cry horribly.
Yeah. It's gambling. It's just economic gambling.
Yeah, it seems like legal gambling is all it is.
It's just gambling that has safer bets is typically like how you look at it.
And Lympholium, that is the thing that I am honestly the most like afraid of when it comes to my like YouTube success, because parasocial relationships freak me the fuck out. I'm not a big fan of like stan culture at all, and I fear that it might happen to me, but I think you can cultivate an audience to be similar to what you want out of an audience if you just work at it and not let your audience just fester and do some shitty things. So it's not like a big actual fear that I'm like worried about all the time, but it's like if I one day open up Twitter and I see a fan cam of myself from an account with like my face as a profile picture, I think I'd close the app for the day. I'm not a fan of that.
It's a I don't know. It's something that even at, at the sizes we're at now, I don't think we have any right to really talk about, because the whole point of like what happens is it's just opportunities. What it is, a lot of people fall because they gained the opportunities that they didn't have before, and it's like with Arcadum, it's like he was just a guy not very confident in how he looked or anything like that, and then suddenly he started hanging out with really cute girls. And he's also someone who's a little bit more on like the demisexual side, so he gets more attracted to people he spends time with.
Yeah.
So it was just a bad situation of he didn't feel like he was getting enough from his partner or his wife, I think. I don't even know. And cute girls were there, and he was getting affection for them, and then he was getting desperate for them. And then he started doing some really shitty stuff.
Yeah.
I do gotta say, I know some people might have different opinions. Dad Needs Some Coffee says the D&D movie is gonna tank probably, and yeah, we're using Black Lotus, shameless crash grab. I do think the D&D movie's actually pretty good. I've seen some really funny clips from it. Is it gonna be like a AAA or anything like that? No.
It's not going to be anything that, I don't think it's going to, obviously, I mean, the Oscars and Academy Award stuff are a fucking sham regardless. But, I don't think it's going to be any award-winning film. It's not going to be, beloved 10, 20 years down the line. It might just be, kind of it was a fun movie that exists in 2023. Yeah, sure. Or it could be the trailers are edited, and those are literally the only good parts of the movie. That's another possibility.
I don't think that's the case. I think their acting crew is actually pretty good.
I mean, I've seen the clip everyone's seen is the talking to the corpse, and that is a very funny scene.
So fucking
that's
funny.
A very good scene, and that's really funny. If the rest of it is like that, I'm pretty down. I think what I also am hoping is in the movie is I hope there's a 5-minute sequence of them trying to open a door. Because you have to have that.
I think it's just gonna be.
I also hope it's like a meta thing. I really would love it if they have the day the movie comes out and then they delay it by a week.
Right.
That'd be the best joke they could make. Just like, hey, yeah, sorry, schedules didn't line up. We're gonna show the movie next week.
Right. That would be funny. It would be great. I think it's just gonna be a fun, slightly campy B movie, D&D movie.
I think it's very possible. It seems like it's going to be fine.
Yeah, I think it's fun. I think it's gonna be great. Is it gonna save D&D? I don't know. Maybe. I mean, we're talking about the D&D defectors today, right? There's a lot of people that have also just straight up gone back to D&D and have been completely okay with it. And you know what? That's fine. You know, I don't think the way a company handles a game should change your relationship with that game. I do think that it, at the very least, should give you a reason to look at other games a little bit, though, which it has for a lot of people. But I don't think, shitty things that a company does should let you change, especially when it's a tabletop game where most of you already own all the stuff you need to play the game for the next 20 years, no problem. So, I mean, even if you don't invest anymore, you can still get a lot out of D&D 5e. So I don't think there's any shame going back to D&D, but for sure, there's been a lot more people who are at least taking a look. And the ones I'm interested in, because they're the most influential, are the content creators, who, many of which were like, I don't want to do Pathfinder, I'm happy with D&D. Switch to Pathfinder, they're like, oh, I've actually been missing out on a really good game this whole time. So it's definitely something where if the right people start talking about it more and start interacting with it more and all that, we will see a good increase in overall like attention to Pathfinder. And I mean, even my content grew like 3 times during this whole business. And while it's petered off a little bit, it hasn't been like a complete like equilibrium drop of like back to the way it was. A lot of people are still looking out for more stuff when it comes to Pathfinder, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's great seeing a lot of people coming in, and at least on the YouTube side, it seems like everyone is very welcoming. I keep seeing the reminders of like, guys, be cool, don't gatekeep Pathfinder for the newcomers, and then see no one actually gatekeeping Pathfinder.
There's been a few.
I imagine there's a few, like, don't get me wrong, it's just it's one of those situations where you see like the warnings for something rather than the actual behavior.
Right.
Which, like, I mean, I'm happy I haven't stumbled on that, because that's lame as shit. Don't do that. But, yeah.
You know what? Just today, 7 hours ago, I didn't see this until just now, Mr. X posted, writing the script for my What They Don't Tell You About Pathfinder 2E. This is going to be very interesting.
Ooh.
If you're not familiar with Mr. X, he does the What They Don't Tell You About D&D. And he does every, like, What They Don't Tell You About blank in D&D. If he does a Pathfinder series,
that'd be pretty sick.
Yeah, that's really good news. That's potentially really good. It depends on if he does it and he sees the obvious view drop if he continues, because it's gonna have a view drop. People go to him to watch D&D content, even though it's lore, so it's pretty ambiguous in my opinion. But still, people can be very particular. Yeah. So I don't know, but if he does, I already watch some of his content from time to time. His stuff about dragons has been so interesting. But if he does about Galarian stuff, I'm definitely gonna watch more of it. So, but yeah, this, that's the thing. I 100% believe content creators can carry Pathfinder to glory if enough get on board with it. It's definitely possible, and depending on how one D&D does, there might be an even bigger swing when one D&D comes and it flops. And right now, it looks like it's gonna flop.
There's nothing that impressive that they've like dropped from it. It seems really underwhelming.
It's very underwhelming. They're trying to take very lukewarm methods to correct some of the power gaming in it. Which at this point, I think a lot of people just prefer the power gaming side of D&D 5e. Like, people get way more excited or way more interested in breaking D&D than about actually playing D&D itself, it seems.
And yeah, what else is there to even do in D&D? I say this as a D&D player. As like, I am in 2 campaigns that use D&D. Granted, they're modified D&D, but like still, I mean, there's not a lot in the core system to even like not do that.
You're in 2? What's the other one?
The Saturday.
Oh, that's right, the Saturday game.
Yeah, Saturday and Friday.
I don't know why I completely forgot about that.
Yeah. Yeah, and then it's better than normal 5e, but it's still 5e, and there's still the faults of 5e.
I can't help.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you can also be a person who's like, you know what, this game ain't great, but I'm not giving Wizards of the Coast any money, so I'm having fun with my friends.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I definitely have a preference. I don't think there's anything wrong with people who love D&D, and if you watched my my Warlock video, you know, I ran D&D for a couple years. I met my fiance playing D&D 5e at Adventures League. I've gone to conventions and ran Adventures League.
The part that was fucked up was the random shade thrown at 2nd edition D&D. Just like shooting strays. I don't like. I'm saying this. I don't have any like stock in the game. I'm just saying, like, you really hit 2nd D&D with like.
All I said was, let's not talk about D&D 2nd edition. That's all I said.
You said, let's not get into that one. Like, you were very particular with that.
That's all I said.
There's some language there, and there's a stray bullet. I have played 2D&D or AD&D. I don't know what it is. I just like that a person in the comments was like, what did it do again? What did it do to you? But 2nd D&D is good. I like that random comment you got.
I did see that. Yeah, well, it's, you know, someone who played it when it was new. What do you have against Thaco? I genuinely don't have anything against how Thaco actually like mechanically works. It's just something that isn't obvious to the people playing the game what its benefit is. And also, hoo boy, you want to talk about Monk and how terrible Monk was in AD&D? A lot of classes were really not good back in AD&D days. And it was also the more old style of, like, you know, like, your characters are super squishy and are likely to die until you survive to, like, level 5. And also wizards became gods at a certain level and were completely, like, unbeatable.
Yeah, I mean, that's the part I don't like about older tabletop stuff. I don't like the meat grinder style of game rules. Not my thing. Kind of sad. I do want to actually play the older Baldur's Gate games, though. That'd be the most I play into, like, old D&D. Because Pillars of Eternity is alright. I have my problems with that style of game, but that's mainly because I'm bad at them.
Let's see here. Did that pop up on the screen? I don't know. It popped up here. A lot of comments just hopped in. I think they're gonna try and make a digital sandbox with it. I think the way they can pay extra to have fun and microtransactions, decimate everything it touches, and I'm done with WotC as well. Yeah, I don't know. That's the thing, right? It would suck if they do make a legitimately really good virtual tabletop and then just monetize the fuck out of it.
I mean, what else are they going to do? Like, that's honestly...
Right? That's what I'm afraid of, for sure. Let's see. My thing is not updating. Logan
So
Good says, hey, keep up the good work. Haven't listened to you live in a while. Love your archetype videos. Good. I'm the archetype guy. I hope you like them because you only got me. Let's see. I wonder if there's going to be an actual play that pops up like Critical Role did. No. Not unless Critical Role swaps to it or Dimension 20 does. Maybe in the far future, for sure. But most of like the celebrity people who are into tabletop right now are already like associated in those circles. And so one of them would need to make a shift, I think. An Arcadum like one, I think, is very possible, but not a Critical Role-esque style. Let's see. Keenan agrees. I agree from cutting my teeth on second ed. I'll never go back to second ed. Yeah, I mean, like, if you enjoy that style game, I think it's a style of game, for sure. But it's just not like how we play tabletop nowadays. So, you know, like, if you like the oh crap, I forget the acronym for it. The old style, I can't remember. It's a particular like acronym for like people who play like older style versions of tabletop.
I want to say it's Grognards, but I don't think it's...
No. OSR, there it is. If you like OSR style games, second edition is fine. Let's see. I loved how Thaco worked and that allowed for different classes in it, but explaining it is shit. Yeah, exactly. It's not a very easy to understand. It doesn't present itself. It's like having bad UI in a game. The UI might have everything you need. It might even have some functionality that you wish other games had, but it doesn't matter if you struggle to find how to get there. Let's see. They want to do something to turn D&D into something every player pays for, or plays for and pays for at least every month, like Magic the Gathering. Yeah, and that's just not how it is, because that's not how tabletop works. You know?
Yeah, it's hard to monetize a tabletop system.
They should just look at it like video games, you know, where you put money and time into a larger investment, and then you sell it to people for an amount of money, you know, like Pathfinder does. They release so many books every year, and they're doing fine. But yeah, so I mean, I don't know. Hasbro doesn't give a shit, which is unfortunate. And honestly, as far as Hasbro execs are concerned, D&D could crash and burn, and they'd be like, oh well, it was doomed. It wasn't making us enough money anyway. We're better off investing in other projects. So, you know, like, hopefully, my goal, my dream here at this channel, what I'm doing is making tabletop cool. It's already cool, but I want to make it like cool to play something other than D&D, you know, the whole genre of game. I want it to be cool for everyone, for casual people, as much as the dyed-in-the-wool tabletop gamers. And I want to make it so that no matter what, even if D&D crumbles, there's so many people making tabletop content out there that it's never going to die. It's a genre that will never die because too many people love it. And my goal, my job is to work hard to make it where people want to invest in other companies, other games. I want to see more tabletop stuff comes up, and more styles, more genres of games, not just high fantasy. Like, that's the dream.
That tabletop genres and types and games are so plentiful, like the game industry is. It's just something kind of for everybody if you look hard enough.
Exactly. And a lot of people just don't know about it. And a lot of people didn't know about D&D until Critical Role and Stranger Things came around, you know?
Or if they
And
did, it was the, like, where I still posit the thing that did the most damage to D&D was how, for a lot of things, Stranger Things, like, before that came out, like 2015 previously, D&D in, like, script was usually interspersed or interchangeable with, like, unlikable nerd who lives in his basement.
right.
Like, I'd see, like, a lot of shows, like, my sister and mom would watch, and there'd be a nerd hacker character or something, and then they'd be like, oh, he plays D&D.
Right.
And it's like, that's how you immediately sell that character type to an audience of just a general audience that doesn't know what it is.
Yeah. Or you see a bunch of people sitting around a table and cosplay. Like, I cast lightning bolt! And rolls overly dramatically and is like super geeky.
There's like two shows back then that I think did some decent D&D like comedy stuff but like it was very clear they played it. It was like Community.
Yeah,
like
Community
D&D episode, because Dan Harmon likes D&D, and Key and Peele actually has like I think 2 D&D sketches that are really funny. It's not like insulting people who play D&D either, because I think Jordan Peele plays D&D, but like the entire joke is just like they invite their cousin to D&D, and he's just like turning it into like, hey guys, let's just go to the bar and get some bitches, rather than like fight the dragon, and everyone's just having fun doing that instead. But then it turns out, the cousin's way cooler at DMing.
Right. We always talk about tabletop, but what about table bottom? Under table? Well, I'll tell you. It's really hard to roll dice on the bottom side of your table.
Imagine if a game came out where there was a mechanic for the under table, where you have like cards or something you have to stick to the bottom of the table where you're sitting.
Or you had to pass cards to each other under the table.
That'd
Didn't
be
know
fun.
what you got. I think there could be some fun stuff for that for sure. It's a fun, interesting mechanic.
Like a tabletop game with social. What is it? What's that game genre that I don't like? The one that
Social
Among
Intrigue?
Us is. Like where you lie to your friends. The game.
Yeah.
They just
Social
call it
something.
Undertable. Yeah, and you just call it Undertable, and then you have to like figure out who the imposter is.
Social deduction games.
That's it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that'd be fun, personally. But the thing is, right, so this is what I think tabletop does that literally no other medium or anything does. And why I think it should and could become another, like, just thing that we play like video games. And it's the narrative aspect and building your own characters up and having your own stories. It's the same thing that RPGs have been trying to do for literally years, but better, because it's actually your characters actually doing things that your characters would do, talking as your actual character and making your own story about your character, rather than playing in as a narrative stand-in for a story. People want that. People have been craving that. I have been craving that from RPG games for the longest time. It's just the feeling that the story is my own. And so few games actually do that. You know, funny enough, despite you playing an actually named character, Disco Elysium at least makes you feel like your Harry is your own unique Harry.
Everyone's Harry is very different, since the game also serves like a massive personality test. Honestly, I think it's interesting because I love that about tabletop games, but like, I don't have that translate over to video games. I actually prefer playing a RPG game with an established character. Like,
Me too.
My favorite thing is, or at least like, I guess, an established character that's still a stand-in for like the game. I think Fallout New Vegas is my absolute favorite, because your character, your courier, is your courier from the moment after he gets shot in the head. But like, he has a whole backstory that you like delve into that's like super interesting, and it's like oh man, my character wouldn't do this, is like your dilemma. It's like, well, maybe you got brain damage from being shot in the head twice.
Yeah.
I love that form of like, you're a character stand-in, but you have existed in the world and have made an impact outside of your choices. I think it's super fun.
I think it's good. Yeah, I do think more RPG games just need to have more like good written protagonist characters. Not bad anime protagonist characters, because that happens a lot of times in tabletop RPGs where you're playing the protagonist and you're playing just this milk bread goody two shoe.
Guys, killing is wrong. That's always what every basic anime protag says. They always have to redeem the villains, not kill them.
Yeah. To be fair, if you in video games could mechanically get the villains on your side as companions, you probably would do it, honestly.
Yeah.
So, I don't blame them for their strategy. It just definitely never makes sense.
Guys, this villain has slaughtered multiple villages and towns, but if we kill him, we're just as bad.
Exactly. It's the Batman scenario.
Batman at least has a reason, because if he does, then he snaps and will go on a rampage.
Yeah.
He knows that if he does it, that's it for Batman. Like, I do think Batman is one of the only characters that I think is justifiable for having his no-kill rule. Yeah. And then there's a lot of characters where they're trying to do the same thing, and it's like, no, this villain's different, dog. Like, come on.
No, Batman's seriously messed up. He's actually, like, he has some troubles. He has some trauma, and it shows in his character.
Man's fucked up.
He is no one else. He's not Bruce Wayne. He is Batman.
That's his full identity. And it's the moments where other characters, like, try to pull him in or out of it. Like, it's my favorite fucking thing is how the undying respect for each other that Superman and Batman have, where they both wish they could be the other person.
Yeah.
Because Superman is like, I wish I could be as calculated, as smart. I wish, like, I could follow the no-kill rule and, like, go through that. And then Batman's like, I wish I could just be as good as him.
Yeah. I wish I had this power.
Cool. So cool. Like, the actual respect and friendship. And it's the journey you make once you grow up and realize that Superman's actually kind of cool. Superman is cool in the comics if he's written well.
I mean, that's any character.
I am so tired of dark Superman, like, storylines now. It's really, it's so sad when you look at all, like, the really good Superman just being a good person.
Yeah, Superman is technically super smart. But it depends on who's writing him.
Yeah. It's like the moments where it's like he does the minor things, like here's a kid crying that they forgot their teddy bear, and so he uses his super, like, speed and flight to quickly go get the bear for the kid. Like, it's those minor bits of, like, he'll just be a person, like a nice person whenever he can, because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah. I mean, it's tragic, and Shitty Do-Rags has mentioned this on I love his videos. We've just left an era where superheroes could just be the paragons of goodness and kindness and actually good examples for people.
Yeah, it's a sad world that, like, we live in a part where it's hard to just believe a person would be good for the sake of being good. Is the problem. I blame Zack Snyder for this personally, but that's just me.
I think it's because that was just the thing before, and then they tried to do something new with it, and I think it works. I think characters like Constantine are interesting.
Oh yeah, Constantine's great.
I think morally ambiguous characters are great. I just want them to also be written alongside good. It's like in anime. Isekai are getting just so dumb because either the protagonist is a goody two-shoes with no personality, or they're a complete degenerate.
Yeah.
And there's no good in between where you find a character who actually has ambition, a kind heart, and is willing to dig their heels in and push through the hard stuff.
Yeah, like, and honestly, the fun of those morally ambiguous characters is when they have to deal with a paragon.
Yeah.
Like, dealing with, it's the reason why Spider-Man and Deadpool is such a fun combo. Because Spider-Man is a really good person, and then Deadpool is, like, like it's a thing where they get along, they have a similar sense of humor, but like when it actually comes down to it, they default to different choices, very differently moral choices.
It's kind of like the thing between Captain America and Iron Man.
Yeah,
that's their whole dynamic. Is Captain America is do what's right, do what's just, it doesn't matter, and Iron Man's like, no, there are people who have power that should not have power.
Yeah.
Which both, you could see both of their reasonings.
They both have good points.
Agree. Yeah.
I strongly posit that the damage that Zack Snyder did with his misinterpretation of Watchmen has done irrevocable damage to our perspective of superheroes. I fully blame that. Is it fair to lump all the blame on him? No, but I also hate Zack Snyder, so in my head, it's fair.
Yeah, it's a glue boy perspective. We gotta take it with a grain of salt, literal salt, like legit saltiness.
At least for cinema, he did pave the way, because it was the Watchmen movie that did super well for his like bad interpretation, which got us a lot of dark cinematic retellings of stuff, which is just Zack Snyder's impression of gritty realism is everyone is a piece of shit, when that's not the point of Watchmen. And there's a lot of parts that were left out of Watchmen that made it something special, because the point is power brings you to a point where you cannot connect with those below you, and humanity is still inherently good, and there are people that will believe that they just can make the decisions for everybody else. And that's such a really good story concept. And then in the Watchmen movie, it was just superheroes fighting.
Yeah. Which, to be fair, I liked the movie.
I mean, there's some parts in it that I think are really good versions, but I don't think it's a faithful adaptation.
Yeah,
because it doesn't.
That's a fair
the spirit. And then after that, he got all the DC shit, and it's kind of where things kind of fell for dark superhero retellings, and
it just sucks that we don't see in media enough the person who is just good for good's sake and has to bear with all the pain and trouble that comes with being just a genuinely good person.
Yeah.
It's a lot of times they're good people and they're either portrayed as like naive or overly optimistic, or they just don't have a strong enough personality to make them believable as a person.
Mm-hmm.
And they're more just a walking concept of good as good.
Yeah. Also, I know for a fact there's nothing I could say to alter that. But Christopher Nolan was not the fault. He played into it pretty badly, I'll admit. He played into the more grittier retelling of superhero shit. But Nolan's films stand differently from the Snyder film. They have a different tone, and at least in Nolan's trilogy, there are decent people in it that are likable. Instead of, Nolan stuff where everyone is just a piece of shit.
But Tabletop,
yes,
it has the unique medium of it is your character's stories. If you get one of your A characters, one of your best run characters through a campaign, they live on forever in your heart. It's a unique thing that you just don't get in any other form of medium. Honestly. I'm sure everyone here who has played Tabletop for a significant enough amount of time has played a character that has genuinely changed them in some way, or is a character that they look at and man, I played a really good character. That's a character I could see a movie about kind of character, or a book about.
Yeah. I fully, if I go down the path of making movies and making some fun fantasy series or stuff, pulling from our tabletop games is gonna happen. Because we've had a lot of amazing characters and stuff that I think should deserve to be on the big screen. At least in our hearts, they should.
Yeah, I mean, I think genuinely, obviously, some campaigns would need to be spruced up a bit.
Yeah, not a one-to-one campaign retelling, but lifting some characters from our anime games, I think. like having some characters or like the idea of a character show up somewhere.
The Rosencrantz arc, I think, could be a movie.
That'd be fun.
That would be very fun to watch for anyone. For
It'd be
sure.
like such a cool movie, or like a fucking banger of a season for a show.
Yeah, that's true. A season, like a Netflix show. The
Yeah.
Rosencrantz arc would be really good. There's so many characters in there, so many NPCs you guys had such good rapport with, and
Yeah.
there was also just the multi aspect of it, of like the different stories that were being told, and I think it would be really, really good. And you know, that's the thing, right? That's so unique to tabletop that you can't get anywhere else. And that's the thing that I believe tabletop just excels in. The ability to literally be your own character. If you're not familiar with the Rosencrantz arc, it is a Anima Beyond Fantasy game that we ran. We ran before this channel essentially got any subs, like 20 subs at the time, I think. It was a live play we did, and it was like a really long arc too. And it was an arc that was a blending of two campaigns that came together at the same point. It was really good.
Yeah, it was a really fun party swap where we just took like the characters that would have the most interesting dynamics with each other and switch them around. And we had the jock squad going through the physical manifestation of hell inside of a giant forest.
The layers
that was
of
a
hell.
giant forest. Yeah, it was pretty bad, and a lot of monsters were killed there. And then we had the smart people who had to go deal with social intrigue and political machinations.
And then we had poor Anastasia, who had to deal with
Yeah.
his family and had to have his own character arc of learning to trust other people. It's great.
The worst thing to deal with in tabletop is your own family.
Yeah, that was great. That was a really good arc. All right, Dad needs coffee. Have a nice day. But yeah, and that's the thing, right? That's why I think tabletop legitimately has a place as far as like a general human experience to have, because everyone at some point thinks about what if I was there in a narrative or story, or what if I could do, you know, what if a representation of a character, like my character in this or whatever. Even if it's like a horror movie, like if I was in this horror movie, you know, like I wouldn't look behind me. I would just book it out of there. And this gives you the opportunity to do that. And not only that, but it's the only medium where you can legitimately interact on a personal level, talking, socializing, even emotionally, like connecting with the characters in the game. The number of times we have cried or almost cried at tabletop
God.
makes it a good experience. It's something you can't. No, you can't. It's not like you can't watch a really good story that has some sad parts and get super sad about it. But like, it's just different when it's personal.
It's different when it's a part of you that does it. It hits different.
And so, you know, it's something that I think if the medium, I think tabletop as a medium also just needs to grow and develop more. I think tabletop is fun as it is, but I definitely think like a lot of things can be made more smooth. I do think also the entire field of tabletop just needs more money invested in it so that more people can make fun games in their own ways and styles. It's like video games, you know. It's like an age of video games where there's only two major producers, it feels like. And then a bunch of indie startups by people who just, you know, are trying to do their own thing, but no one knows about.
Yeah.
And so, my hope is that with all the people who went to D&D, who might still go to D&D, filter out into other fields. Like Pathfinder is the obvious like biggest catch right now for sure, but I hope personally my own effect is I get big enough, famous enough, whatever, to make people look at all kinds of tabletops and just make tabletop like a big thing that people look at to go do and try out. And more than just Pathfinder. Don't get me wrong, I love Pathfinder, but I do want all of tabletop to rise, you know? Not just the high fantasy ones.
More sci-fi tabletop that's like really prominent is my want.
I want more like modern fantasy kind of stuff. I want stuff where people are fighting monsters with guns.
Yeah, that'd be fun too.
Started playing D&D 4E with local friends recently. Hopefully, I mean, D&D 4E is good. I think it's a fun game for sure. It's just the most gamified D&D has ever been. But a lot of its mechanics have transferred over, even to like Pathfinder 2E and 5th edition in some respects. Alright, Rylan, you need to calm down. All these puns today, I don't appreciate it. There's just, I don't know. Tabletop is something that I personally think has a lot of room to grow. And that's the thing, right? It's already really fun to play tabletop. Like, I have dedicated my life to tabletop at this point. And I have so many friends who love tabletop. And I think it still has plenty of room to grow, which is very exciting.
So much that could be achieved in tabletop. You know what I did today, Cam? You know what I did?
What?
I went out to go to get some more paints because I'm out of some paint that I need to paint my Chaos Knight. And I stopped at a comic store because they have some craft supplies, and I looked through some of the tabletop games.
Yeah.
And turns out he has physical copies of a bunch of the Delta Green books, which I was very tempted.
Yeah.
And he has the Warhammer Fantasy role-playing game, which I paged through, and good lord, that game has so many fucking classes you can pick.
Yeah.
Ranging from the normal ones, like a knight, a mage, a healer, to like a beggar, the protagonist.
Interesting.
Protagonist, from what it seems like, is just like a mercenary, like lone wolf type that just joins the party. Or like, just kind of ranging from like, oh hell yeah, until like, why are they traveling? That's
right.
just like
yeah.
a beggar.
Why are they adventurers?
Yeah, adventuring, strong word for Warhammer.
Right.
But like, oh man, it'd be so fun to play a Warhammer Fantasy campaign where I could play either a dwarf slayer or a witch hunter. And just do a Salt Spire impression for the game.
That would be fun. And that's the thing, right? There also needs to be people who play tabletop just for fun, you know, like every adventure doesn't have to be every adventure does not have to be a super serious one. Not every game should be a multi-year game, you know. Just like play for a month, have like a weekly game every month or bi-week or twice a week, you know, for a month, and just have fun with a silly game and then move to another game. Because, like, I think there's a place, definitely, for those long epics, for sure. Honestly, probably my preferred style. But if I look at games like Lancer, I don't know if I could do a Lancer game as long.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just because it's a game where you're more excited about the mech than the pilot. And honestly, it's a fun war game and a okay story game, you know.
Yeah, I think it takes more weight on the DM side to make it a really engaging like plot to play through. It's like story. there's less of that there because it is more of a war game, just naturally in its rules. So as a DM, you just have to pick up the weight, which is lame for a lot of people, a lot of DMs. If you don't want to do that, then you're just going to have a war game with occasional chatting.
Right. Games like Vampire, though, I think are like longer games are more necessary. It doesn't have to be, for sure, but I think it's more interesting when you have the building narrative and the politics that come around, being akin. And I don't know. I want more variants. I want more types of games. I want to see, man, if Lancer had the same budget as even like Pathfinder, oh boy, what kind of crazy stuff could we get?
So cool.
And I've been hearing a lot about Delta Green, so we might check that out at some point in the near future.
I hope we do. I love Delta Green from everything I've seen on it. It's so fun.
I don't know. I haven't seen anything. The only thing that's come out recently for Lancer, officially anyway, has been a new adventure path, which is like a 1 to 5 license levels 1 to 5 adventure path.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, it's a little longer than normal because Lancer is technically you start at license level 0 rather than 1. But yeah. In any regard, I mean, like, it would be nice. I mean, I love Blades in the Dark's world. I think the game itself is just it's just a narrative game that has loose rules to kind of help with the whole, like, it's not just telling a story. There are success and fail points, but the rules are so loose that it's like, you can't game Blades in the Dark. Really, it's more like, what's your flavor of character?
Yeah,
but I do love it.
If you want that.
Yeah, I do love the setting. I think it's a really fun setting. I think it's really cool. I just would struggle to run that game personally, but I think for a lot of other people, it'd be a very fun game. And, just imagine all of these things get more. Just imagine tabletop in general. Virtual tabletop is already moving in a direction that is really good. Foundry has showed me that, honestly, it wouldn't be hard to make a very self-running virtual tabletop that just allows you to put your characters down, and you can have effects, you can have all kinds of cool stuff running your adventure, and just make it a much more immersive experience. And the closer and closer virtual tabletop gets to being like an actual, like, game where everything is mostly handled through the game, you're just role-playing on top of it, I think is really good.
Yeah, it's more and more why I'm really curious to mess with the Pathfinder tools for even though, like, I don't know if he fully determined what we're going to do after Lancer.
I know we're going to play Pathfinder again. My idea, I don't know. Unfortunately, as far as, like, live plays and stuff like that, if we continue Riptide, it's not going to do well.
Yeah.
It's people don't want to watch 30, 40 episodes to get caught up on a live play like ours.
It's a hard sell.
So it's either I try to, like, spin a season 2 as something new, or we just do another 10 to 15 session other campaign.
Yeah.
I still need to talk with everyone because I don't want to deprive you guys of your characters and the interesting story that I was building up that I actually really like.
It was a very good story.
But at the same time, if it's not new, people are not going to watch it. So, it's just one of the cruel fates of live plays, unfortunately. If we do a bunch of short ones, people are much more willing to put in 10 sessions, even if they're 4-hour sessions, they're much more willing to put in that much at least to see what happens than like 40.
Yeah.
And so I don't know what I want to do. I don't want to run something that you guys are gonna dislike because you have to lose your characters or anything.
Yeah, I mean, I know I've spoken to a good chunk of people, like a couple people who all share the opinion of like, I'm down for whatever, but that makes none of your decision. That doesn't make your decision easier.
Yeah.
But like I think if I did if we did go back to like a season 2 or something of Pathfinder, I think I'd still want to play William, only because like I think it's been he hasn't been in that campaign for like that long, and I feel like I don't know if it's like a lower level, maybe it's an earlier adventure of his. Like after
no,
he got
like
or something.
It would just be the continuation. Maybe I'd level you guys up to like level 10 or something if you weren't there already.
Yeah.
And it would just be I start off saying, "Here's a recap of everything this far."
Yeah, I think it's a way to do it. Honestly.
It's a way to do it. I don't know if it's a good enough fix to get people invested or not. Is the thing.
I mean, it's better than like. I mean, it's better than just continuing on. I'd say, just saying this is season 2, and then like have a video, or even just like part of the beginning of the stream. All right, this is a recap of what happened. Just give it so like there's no reason that they need to go watch the other stuff. They can if they want to, but they don't need to.
Yeah, I don't know. That is an option. I still think that would not be as good for like viewer wise as just starting something new. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just whether that half step. I just need to see how everyone feels about it and everything. And I think I've just determined that 10 to 15 session campaigns are just really good, easy consumable, and then we can do another game system in the year with not much too much trouble.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because it's only like 2.5 months, give or take. This one, the last one's been lasting a little longer, but you know, family issues.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But yeah, I don't know. I think you know what's funny too. Last November, I took some time off the channel, and I was very much going through this whole thing of like, okay, what do I do? Pathfinder kind of is dead ending at like 20k subs somewhere. You know, there's just not enough people in Pathfinder. Let me kind of rebrand a little bit and try to go more open. And then the OGL business happened, and now the Pathfinder experience has expanded and may keep expanding. So it's like, oh, okay, maybe a Pathfinder ain't so bad to go down. I still want to be a variety tabletop channel, for sure. But Pathfinder's definitely not dead ending as badly as it had before.
No, it's gotten a lot better.
And it's definitely something that can continue to grow if enough people get into those positions. I need to rush. I need to rush so hard to get to the top of Pathfinder so that I can try to steer it in the right direction and make it where, you know, it's like, oh, look at Pathfinder, or look at other games. It's really fun and really cool, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, pushing for that really hard. I think I'm happy. It's like, I don't know. I'm not happy that the OGL business happened, but I'm happy that something happened to push people to try out other things.
Me too.
It's very beneficial for just in general.
Even before it happened, I said it was going to happen.
We talked about it. There is recorded somewhere. Saying some major thing's going to go down and crush Ivy.
Yeah. I said, like, nothing lasts forever. Even, like, World of Warcraft has had its falling. And eventually monoliths collapse. It's bound to happen. And it did. Not completely, But this is kind of like what happened with WoW, where it's like WoW is just not hitting the same as it used to. And it's just been going downhill ever since, incrementally. Sometimes they'll spike up, but like overall trending down. And other MMOs have been gotten the chance to shine because of that. And with D&D, it's just the same thing. It's people have seen, oh, D&D is not that great. And then people try Pathfinder and they're like, oh, D&D was actually really bad.
Yeah.
I see. My eyes have been opened. And I do think that tabletop is still going... it might have a quiet period of some time. This whole OGL business, I feel like, might bring that low for tabletop in general. Of people who were just not invested enough, saw what happened with D&D, and then left. Or people who saw what happened in D&D, tried Pathfinder, liked it, and then were like, okay, well, I did play a better game and that was fun. But, I'm going to go try something else now. You know?
I think it's very possible.
And so it might go down, but I do think that tabletop has, for the first time in history, made such an impression that it won't just die away like it did in the past,
I think it's very true.
And I think there'll just be a low period, and then the next big game to come out. And I think if tabletop gets content creators, and I think WotC is understanding this too, because they're now having a summit for D&D, and they're inviting a lot of people along for it. Which is very interesting because it's actually really close to where I live. So in Seattle. Yeah.
I mean, I think they're hosted, or it's their headquarters is in Seattle, right?
Yeah. And so they're having a bunch of them come in to, chat, do whatever. Bob the World Builder got invited. He's another person I follow somewhat.
Yeah.
And so I think they understand. And if they, I don't know, if they capture the content creators, I think they will have a resurgence again. I think content creators just have too much influence to ignore. That's what made Critical Role blow up and made D&D infinitely bigger, than it would have been. I think the Stranger Things did help, of course, but I think Critical Role was the example to go by.
Just having any mainstream showing of this is what the hobby is, does wonders.
Yeah. And while Pathfinder can't obviously pitch in for cameos and movies and stuff like that, they just don't got that kind of money.
Yeah.
Content creators, YouTube, podcasts, even Twitter handles, Twitter content creators, which there are some.
There are people who make money off of Twitter.
Will be what will draw people to other parts of the hobby.
Yeah.
And my goal is to be one of them, My goal is to be the one to go out and be like, hey guys, look at tabletop. Isn't this shit cool? It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
But it's going to happen. The D&D defectors that have been kind of coming over. Mr. Rex now making some content for Pathfinder. A bunch of the bigger, 100K sub channels on YouTube looking at Pathfinder. I do think that it is an era where at least Pathfinder is going to start growing more.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just looking for someone at that upper echelon, or to be that someone at the upper echelon, to start being like, hey guys, but what about Vampire? But what about Delta Green?
Yeah. What about all these cool things? Please come look at them.
and be like, yeah, Pathfinder's great. I love Pathfinder too. We're not talking about that. We're talking about, look at this. Alpha Busa's stuff with the World in the Dark has been so good.
Oh,
I think we talked about his recent video about it recently, didn't we?
Yeah, I'm a massive fan of Hunter the Parenting. I think it's really good because it's the same humor that I liked in their Warhammer text-to-speech series, but in a setting I think is really cool.
Yeah. And, that's something that anyone could watch. It'd be interesting. And you don't even have to know about World of Darkness. And his most recent video talking about World of Darkness and everything was super cool. I super enjoyed it. Those are the kind of people I would love to interact with in the future.
Yeah.
When the channel gets big enough. And
the parts where I'm like, damn shame that Warhammer treated them so poorly.
Yeah.
Because I would love to meet them in my space, but they're done with Warhammer.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Though, if that power gets transferred to places that need more eyes on it, I'm not too upset about it.
Yeah, same.
And you know what? You're here by association. If I get a chat with them or bring one of them on,
God,
you'll be here. So, Tabletop has so far to go, so many things to do, and right now, Pathfinder is still very infantile as far as its creator sphere, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, we have no one over 100K, first of all. And recently, the top channels, which is the Rules Lawyer and Nonats, they've been slowing down. They had a huge burst. I mean, Nonat's got like 20K subs or something in the span of like a month. But now he's been slowing down. Granted, as slow as a channel that size can go. So getting about 1,000 a month or something like that.
Yeah.
But still like
something.
a big slowdown. And Nonats hasn't been making content recently. Apparently he's had some back issues, which is very interesting considering the live content he's done. But so he says he has some back issues that's preventing him from making videos. Rylan, if you weren't like the only person talking, I'll put you in timeout.
Promote chat content just so it's less puns.
It just might be the trimming we need. Start early before the weeds grow.
Heard it here first, folks. You'll get attention from Bad Luck Gamer if you put puns in the chat.
No, that's the opposite. I don't want that to happen.
That's what the effect is gonna be.
Yeah, but if I'm not angry about it, then it's not fun for them.
True. That is the streamer way.
That is the streamer way. I also just have to deal with puns way too much anyway, so...
Yes, you do.
I was born for this. I was born to be a streamer. Just to get angry at chat constantly for chat being chat.
Yeah.
I was going to look at something. I don't honestly remember what it was I was about to look at, though.
Damn. Yeah, you gave no inclination you were going to look something up, so...
I know. Tragic. Oh, right. I remember what I was going to look at now. I was going to look to see... It's funny. I guess it's just how the algorithm works. But I never see new content for Rules Lawyer that often show up on my feed. It does show up every once in a while, but it's not old. Yeah, he hasn't made anything in a week. Almost 2 weeks. 10 days. His content's always been kind of slower, though, to be fair. And then Roll for Combat is still talking about the OGL, even now. Yeah, the Pathfinder scene just doesn't have a lot of people who are just constantly making stuff. One channel that's been blowing up as far as like the low end is concerned is King Ooga Tuntun.
I don't know who that is.
Just a channel that's been talking about class stuff and everything in like less than 7 minutes.
Oh, okay.
He's gone from like sub 1K to 3K in like 2 months. But Pathfinder, there's just not a lot, you know. Now, if you're looking up Pathfinder stuff, you're starting to get like some of the defectors who are coming over and talking about Pathfinder stuff, like dungeon. Let's see, what was the channel? Actually, I might want to use incognito window. That'd be easier. Even though incognito's in light mode.
Gross.
I hate light mode.
Absolute horseshit.
Let's see here.
Dungeons and Dragons.
The Dungeon Cast has been making Pathfinder content. No, things have changed recently. No, that wasn't actually a lot of the top ones recently.
Oh.
But it shifted. I wonder if a lot of the new faces, the like Dungeon D4 or whatever that channel's name, hasn't made, yeah, D4 D&D Deep Dive, that channel. Yeah, he hasn't made any new videos recently. That's why his content isn't shown. His video did 156K though. I know he's done some class builds because one of those things is making builds recently. Yeah, he did the Rogue Thief and the Ninja in the last month, but he hasn't been doing a lot as far as Pathfinder is concerned. Yeah, it's just there's just not a lot at the moment, which is very sad. I'm doing my best. Yeah, he is a very weirdly peaceful dude for sure. He's very chill. He's very easy to listen to. But like I would probably be the most consistent, like most frequent channel on the platform if I wasn't going through all the stuff happening in my life right now. Because I have a schedule for 3 videos a week, you know, like it's not hard for me to do 3 videos a week, which would put me pretty much at the top of all Pathfinder content creators as far as volume of content. But something happens. This week I didn't produce a video yesterday because I came back from seeing my mom and sister yesterday. So, you know, or not yesterday, Tuesday. But, you know, Tuesday was my day to work on it. And I barely got a video out on Monday. I'll have a video tomorrow, for sure. And next week, hopefully, I will have some more videos. Or I'll have, like, full schedule out next week, for sure.
Hell yeah.
And then the next week, I might not have one on Monday because I'm going to a funeral. So, it's just not easy.
No, not really. Honestly, I don't know how you do it to make 3 videos a week. 2 is like my limit. I could not go higher than that. At least
What helps is just having like the archetype videos take so little energy to make.
Fair.
And so it's like I can do one of those in like 2 hours, depending on the size of the archetype. Like overall production time. The other videos, like build videos or even the bite size, even though it was a very easy video to like cut down and edit, it was a longer video because I had to do way more research to filter out like what's necessary and what's not.
Yeah, that was me with this latest video as well, actually. Not the latest one, the one before it. Because it was just extra research. Because normally it takes me like a good couple days, couple or few days usually, of just like research on it, and then like it takes a day to pump out a script, and then another like 2 days to make sure I get the edit all like I want it. So I've been messing around with it to make the videos flow a little bit better. But
Yeah, it's just
it's such a tight schedule that I don't think I could fit another.
It's just eventually the more you do it, the more you'll like refine the process.
Yeah.
And then it gets just easier and easier. You find ways to shorten your workload. I mean, doing 43 archetypes now at this point, that's a lot of archetypes. And I've gotten the process down to about where I want it to be. I've been trying to experiment with new content lately, which I think has been mostly successful. I think the bite size just suffered because it was Alchemist, and
the
not a lot
Warlock
of
video
people are
was
looking
just
for it.
a good video. That was
Sorry?
like the Warlock video was a good video. Like
Yeah.
it was entertaining to watch and like listen through. Especially makes me think the critique that man, all you did was talk about Magus. It's like no you didn't.
Yeah, I don't know
No.
what. Some people watch the first 5 minutes of video and they're like, I know what this video is about.
I know everything about this video when there's 15 more minutes left.
Exactly. It's like Magus is the same as Hexblade, roughly. You know, same at least intent of playstyle. And
It's so funny.
it's like, no, it's not all Magus. I had to take 3 classes to essentially get everything Warlock included in Pathfinder, so.
Yeah.
But, you know, people just, they have their opinions, they don't care. They're just interested in they're just interested in being right or their own opinion. Which that's just, as a content creator, that's just what you gotta do. You gotta wade through it. You gotta look at what people are saying and be like, hey, you know, I get it. I get that you really like this thing, but I mean, that's why I don't respond to most of my comments. And I try to really reinforce positivity the best I can. So I don't try to interact too much with negative comments. I do if it's a somewhat negative or at least a critique and I like it and such, it means that I'm like, oh yeah, I think you're right. Or I appreciate what you're saying. It doesn't necessarily mean I think you're right, but I appreciate what you're saying. I'll do that. But if it's just like overall like the person who just said, one of the selling points of Pathfinder was that it didn't have Warlock. It's like, that's not helping the conversation at all.
Not at all.
You already get the fact that, well, that's anti-person discrimination. Me and my universe friends are going home. Wait, what? I missed the joke.
Discriminating against people who are being mean and discriminating against you. How dare you?
I guess. Yeah.
I mean, see, I have this. I don't know. I've yet to have the problem because, like, I think it's a different beast currently. If I made content that was more going over how to play and what I think about Warhammer rules, I think it would come up more often. But like, I'm just talking about lore, and a lot of my content is like, this is the fun stuff, and then people are like, yes, I agree, that is fun. I play this thing. The most I'll do is if someone dunks on me, but it's really funny, like I'm a fan. But the ones I don't interact with are the ones where I'm like, you're trying to be funny and this just isn't it. Or like, this is just kind of annoying. You seem like an annoying person to be around. I just don't interact.
Yeah.
So I'm very active in my comments because I don't know, it's fun. It's fun to just talk about like, yeah, you know what? That thing is cool. You're right.
Well, it's also just Warhammer is a less objective or subjective game, I guess, than Pathfinder or tabletop in general. Because, like, first of all, it's like talking about like, the only thing that matters in tabletop is damage, how much damage you do, which is just not the case.
When I say a thing is really good, it's mathematically proven to be good.
Right.
And like, there's no like, with this interesting build and a DM that accommodates. Like, no, tournament-wise and math-wise, this is actually the best thing in your army.
Right. Yeah. There's less to argue about in that respect. But it's also like you just hit over 1K.
Oh yeah,
So
I
when you
imagine
start
it's
getting
gonna come.
more and more, it's just it literally all YouTubers, no matter what, some hang on to it longer than others, or some just don't realize because it gets buried. All comment sections eventually turn to shit at some point, at some sizes.
Yeah, at some point, I'll mourn that day. I imagine I'll like probably still stick around to like the top comments where they're not big pieces of shit, but it's interesting. I'm happy to have the low audience that's all very active and cool in my community. I already have like some membership stuff growing, which is really fun because I'm really selling the emotes, which are very fun because I have a good amount that I just have kind of sitting around.
I enjoy it. I like, hey, what we got here right now, we got like 10 of y'all here in the chat. If you don't see 10, it's because it's split between 2 platforms. But we got a fair amount of people who come pretty regularly. I very much appreciate y'all. It's always very fun. We get more people coming all the time. And the Discord has been growing more and more and more. We're over 160. We'll probably be at 200 by the end of this year or more. Perfect size for a TTRPG party. 10 people? What are you talking about? That's crazy. That's nonsense.
Coward. Get 2 games going. Yeah, get a Twitch game and a YouTube game.
There we go. There you go, yeah. Parallel universes. Let's go.
Yeah, one we have both sides of it. Both have different buffs and like bonuses and debuffs. Both are strengths and better things. Maybe the Twitch chat can respond to threats faster.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe YouTube is just the murder hobos and they go and gank some guy in the street. Who knows?
Do you think we could do a Twitch play-by-post with Twitch comments?
No. I mean, maybe at the size we're at, possibly.
It'd be so funny, though. I think if
you could make groups, I think that would be a thing.
I still really like the idea of having a live play character that's ran by Twitch chat.
That's definitely something I want to do in the future.
That's such a fun idea.
I definitely will run at some point in the future games where the chat can interfere by donating a bunch.
Yeah, it's a PvP campaign. It's YouTube versus Twitch.
And Fonzie Zombie mentioned earlier, can't forget the silent majority. If you're lurking, I respect that. No worries.
As a fellow lurker in streams and videos and such, I see you. You don't want to be seen, but I still see you.
Yeah, that's a massive pride. 12, 14 people. To be fair, I run very personal tabletop games where I try to interact and like have player stories matter a lot. So that would be just way too much. It would be too much to try to fit into a game. So tonight everyone gets one combat round. Yeah. Man, that's just so much people. I can't even imagine. But yeah, I do plan in the future like to have some actual fun events. The hard part about it is getting people together for it, that can run it. And I've talked about this before. I would love to have more of like a crew to start doing stuff, to like working on tabletop and making a more fun and interactive kind of experience.
Mm-hmm.
But people have lives, and until I can pay people to be in tabletop, I just there's no way for me to guarantee people, unfortunately, at this time. When I'm famous enough, popular enough to get like other content creators, maybe, or when I'm popular enough, famous enough to have a business where I can pay people to run the business and participate in tabletop, then that kind of stuff will happen a lot more often. Because right now I can barely get Alex here twice a week.
I do my best.
Hey, I'm not blaming you. Like I said, life is life, and I just don't pay you.
Yeah.
So when you either have no life or I can pay you, things will change.
100%.
So I would love to do that kind of stuff. I would also like to do, right? It would be really fun. I love to do a stream of just hopping into other people's streams and doing play-by-post in their streams randomly. I think that'd be really funny to watch. I think that'd be really, really fun to interact with.
Yeah, it'd be entertaining.
Not like in an annoying sense.
No, in a cool way.
In a cool way. In a chat that's already busting, like already going super fast. Just doing our own little RP, see if we can get like a streamer to notice.
Oh yeah, if they don't know the bit, they'd fucking hate it. Someone who enjoyed it or knew in some way.
I think it could be fun. I think it just has to be done right. Don't use it like as a form of harassment, but like just jump in and just kind of like run like a full ass adventure in someone's chat. I think it would be really funny. I think a lot of streamers would look at them and be like, what the hell are you guys doing? Are you guys having a play-by-post in my stream right now? Especially since it's play-by-post. It's not like you're spamming or anything.
No.
You can't really. But I think that'd be really fun. And there's a lot of other ideas I have. A lot of really cool ways I think that tabletop can be kind of done more fun, more liberal, just memeing it up, So
I think it'd be a fun, I don't know, I could see it happening in Jerma's chat for some reason. I know he's done that where he's yelled at his mod team for their mod chat. They're just talking about like their favorite episodes of The Sopranos.
Right.
It's just like yelling, like, why are you talking about The Sopranos?
So, it's just, it's like anything, really. Moderation. If the streamer's like, hey, stop. We stop. That's it. Hopefully it never gets to that point, but, there's a lot of stuff I want to do, but unfortunately, a lot of stuff I want to do requires influence or money. And this year I'm building influence.
Yeah.
Which will lead to money. So, there's a lot of really cool stuff. I do think if we can somehow break into the top people of Pathfinder at the very least, oh man, all the fun stuff we could do, all the cool people we could interact with.
God, it'd be so dope.
So, help out the channel, share these videos wherever you feel fit, and don't bother people with our content, and tell your friends. Tell them that there's an archetype guy who's actually talking about all the archetypes in depth. Or a channel that's crazy enough to do a class video twice for each class. We got builds here. We got a weekly chat. We got live play. We got everything. We're the general store of tabletop here today. And, as we grow, which we will, heck, the channel has been getting, on average, 10 a day. And sometimes 20 when I'm not even posting anything. We're already a quarter of the way to 3K. And it's been less than a month.
It's been incredibly quick. I just poke my head to like YouTube and I'm like, oh shit, that's a bigger number. like a decent amount, like a noticeable amount.
Yeah. Hey, you got noticed by Paizo for them to have you share content with Treasure Vault? Yeah, well, I mean, I applied for that. It wasn't noticed. It's not like they're like, hey, we see you. Here you go. I applied for it. And you can do so once you have 1,000 subs. So, not that special. But it's cool that they shouted those videos out. And there's a lot of people out there who I know. Like, another good thing as well, we got people in our Discord looking for games. We got people sharing their own stuff. We got all kinds of stuff. Like, as our community grows, that stuff becomes more and more frequent. Eventually we'll have like an artist circle in our chat or in our Discord. You know, people can make art for commission. And it's just all stuff that will happen as we grow. And by the end of this year, we'll be fast approaching 10K. And next year, actually, you know what? I'm not so into... I'm not super into, like, over-planning my future. A month in advance is about as much as I'm looking for. Yeah. It says, by the end of next year, at some point, it says here a year and 6 months, Social Blade has us at 20K.
Hell yeah.
So, by this time next year, we'll likely be 20K. Who knows? Honestly, a lot of the times you just bypass these numbers anyway. Not always. Sometimes you have a slow month, something comes up. But almost every time there was a milestone thing on Social Blade, I ended up beating it by like a month or two. So, we'll see. It says in 2 months on May 5th or May 9th we'll be at 2.9K. So, you know, we'll see where we're at that point. Who knows? I do strongly believe that we're gonna hit 10K next year at some point, and if we do, heck, we might hit 20K next month or next year as well. So, if we do that, all things considered, unless there's any other blowout channels, we'll be top 3 at the very least. You know. And I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. All the money, like this new shock mount I got, which I didn't get a shock mount because I needed a shock mount. I got a shock mount because it just is an extra, like, leverage point for the mic.
Yeah. They're handy tools to have. God, I want a mounted thing, but there's like, I have to do some extra fancy shit. Because my desk is weirdly made so that I can't clamp something to it.
Yeah, I hate that.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it on the side, so it's actually on the front, but my front is wide enough where I have some room on the corner.
The only place I could is I have a desk that like you can open up and pull out a drawer that has your keyboard and mouse and all that. So
cool.
I'd have to have it open and like hooked in there.
Yeah, that's really lame.
Yeah, it's not great.
I also bought a green screen recently, so I'll be messing around with some green screen kind of stuff. Mostly it's just when I'm showing stuff off in the background, I feel like my window, it's either I have to shrink it super far so that you can see it, or I just have something over my face overlaid.
Yeah.
So if I get a green screen, and maybe I'll do what Bricky does and get like a stool or something to sit on, so that I just reduce the profile. It might not be necessary, who knows? This chair doesn't go too far beyond my shoulders, but
that's what I'm doing. I'm Bricky, but I stand up.
Yeah,
that's my bit.
But you know, just for some kind of videos, I want to be able to show more stuff behind me.
Yeah.
And I don't want my solution to be shrink my window so far that you can barely see me to read the thing.
I've noticed I've had to do that for some of your videos I've edited for you.
Yeah.
There's just no other option.
Yeah, so I'd rather just like make it so that I slide to the side and all the text is mostly like to on the other side of me or whatever.
Yeah.
So I need to get another box light for it though, because there's no lighting in this room I can utilize to get that green screen right. So I need to get another box light for it. I need to see if there's mini box lights actually, because I don't need a big one.
There are going to be vlog lights essentially. That's what you're looking for.
Maybe that's what I'll do. I don't know.
Because vlog lights are really tiny. That's basically like it's a mini ring light is what you're pitching. But yeah, that's the hardest part. It's just like lighting for a green screen. Because if you don't do it right, your editing time is just going to be a little ass.
Yeah.
But granted, at least on YouTube, you have the privilege to not have to be perfect.
True. I've done green screen before, actually, on this channel, actually. Long time ago. Not well sometimes. Better in other videos. But, so there's that. There's some stuff I'm going to be adding to it, and I don't know. There's going to be a lot coming out, and I'm really pushing to get 3 videos out a week. I think if I consistently do that, consistently pump out content, we'll shoot to the top. Once we get enough people noticing, once we have enough blowout. I've still yet to get a video that hits like 20k, 30k views. That's the only difference between my channel and everyone else's. If I get that to happen, my channel will blow up like theirs did.
Yeah. I mean, you got 10k, so you're on your way.
I got 10k finally. Took a year, but got 10k. So, you know, I'll keep trying to make new content. Anyway, I didn't realize, I'm sorry, I tangented so long in like what I was doing to the channel. So hard, it's all I think about. All I think about is YouTube nowadays. It's my life. But I think that's gonna be it for us. Any stuff you want to leave us off with there, Glue Boy?
Go check out my channel. It's linked in Cam's stuff. I make Warhammer content. I made a video on Imperial Knights that I think is pretty fun, and a really cool video on the missing Primarchs and all the lore surrounding their mysterious disappearances. So go check out my stuff. That's really it. That's all I do each week. I just make Warhammer videos.
Any news coming up or anything? Anything exciting on the horizon?
Stuff that is on hold until I'm done with this fucking school quarter. I have some really fun ideas, and I'm not gonna like fully give them away. I might just implement some more general fun content rather than lore overview stuff. But I have a couple ideas.
All right, I got some more stuff. Hopefully things will regulate for me sometime after this month. And we're on the push for 3K by June, which it looks like we'll make before June even. Looks like we'll hit in May. And we're pushing for 10K this year. Or not 10K. Over 5K this year. Yeah, 10K. You know what? Let's shoot for the stars, you know?
Yeah, no, 10K this year. Easy.
Realistically, over 5K.
Yeah.
Over 5K. Maybe even 6K. Who knows? But that's the goal. Anyway, that's going to be it from us. Let's go ahead and say goodnight.
Good night.
Good night.